solitude. And there are 3 stages we must go through. According to the father of analytical psychology, archetypes are patterns that's universally recognized by people of different eras as a consequence of collective unconscious. So to understand the real power of solitude, we must try to understand one of the most powerful archetypes, the hermits. The Oxford Dictionary defines a hermit as a person living in solitude as a religious discipline, or in myths as a wise old one who is a lover of wisdom, living in isolation, meditating and living a simple life deep in a forest or in the mountains. And he guides people when in need of guidance in life. In popular culture, we can find many characters in movies, literatures and folklores who have retreated into seclusion for spiritual training. A non-religious example might be the Steve Jobs, hermit-like, who was fiercely protective of his privacy and developed his own vision for technology that he then imparted to the world. In all culture, wisdom is seen as the pinnacle, and wisdom is only attained through the practice of solitude. Hermitage, whether it's Shiva, who was a hermit and a fierce ascetic who roamed the graveyards wearing a garland of skulls, or Buddha before his enlightenment who has spent extended periods alone in the forest. Like this, every hermit have a period of hermitage. You have to simply isolate yourself into the corner of the room, the building, the house or the property, because as the characteristics of an introvert, the hermit draws his energy from within. This is not like getting away from stress, but just to hear ourselves think and have a rest from the chaos of outer world. This is the time of introspection and cultivating self-awareness. Journey in the desert. Famous German psychoanalyst Karen Horney suggested that the development of a human being is similar to that of an oak tree. If we give appropriate environmental conditions, it will develop into a healthy oak tree, flourishing and fulfilling its innate potential. But unfortunately, for most of us, our journey towards self-realization is disrupted due to neglect, rejection, abuse, or other forms of childhood trauma. And when a child is subjected to this early wound, we don't see it as our parents' personal problems which are having an effect on us, but instead, our survival brain makes a conclusion that we lack something, or as the world is unsafe for us. So basically, what we have to do is not to try to fix ourselves, but to treat these wounds with self-compassion and understand we can live feeling safe in this body. Now, one of the best methods to do this is psychotherapy. Psychoanalysis was founded by Sigmund Freud following his discovery that his patients' symptoms could be cured when the unconscious factors underlying them were made conscious, mainly done under an expert therapist. But Karen Horney was one of the few 20th century psychoanalysts who thought if we are determined, we can do psychoanalysis alone, and that it's even desirable than traditional method, as the therapist starts the journey of therapy as a stranger to our psyche. So to learn about the inner workings and complexities and the depths of our mind, it might take months or years, which is not the case when we become our own therapist. The wilderness of desert is the place where the Jesus was led by the Holy Spirit and where he spent 40 days and nights fasting, fighting with Satan who tried to tempt him. According to Nietzsche, in order for us to become a psychologically superior human, we must go through our desert where we see our own shadow, our inner demons, our wild primal thoughts, fantasies, regrets. You have to embrace it, acknowledge and accept it as a part of yourselves instead of rejecting it. And as Carl Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. By going through this journey, a hermit gains self-knowledge, an acute understanding of oneself that becomes a high level of intelligence about the cosmos. Through studying one's own nature, impersonally, the hermit can enter into the ball of humanity, the life mission. During the emergence of psychology, most of the psychologists were focusing on the studies of mentally ill, while this American psychologist chose to study on those who excelled in life, and he discovered that the healthiest and most flourishing among us are those who are motivated by the trends to self-actualization. Self-actualization is an ongoing journey of actualization of potentials, capacities, and talents as fulfillment of a mission, as a fuller knowledge of and acceptance of the person's own intrinsic nature as an unceasing trend towards unity. This is not an easy task, as our stagnating old habits and self-destructive behavior patterns will stand in our way, and to an extent, we can solve this by changing our social environment or by practicing solitude. According to Nietzsche, will to power is the drive of Übermensch to perfect and transcend the self through the possession and exercise of creative power. For this, we must have a life mission, and these are the 3 things we must keep in our mind. Our goal should be something not too hard so that we don't bother even to pursue it, but at the same time, our pursuit of goal should be intrinsically rewarding enough to keep keep us motivated and challenging enough to create the novel experience necessary for self-realization, which requires us to leave our comfort zone as we develop new skills, cultivate self-discipline, and in the process discover and grow all our innate potential. Now, the biggest mistake most of us make is wait for our perfect mission or true passion in life. So instead of delaying, pick something challenging which sparks your curiosity and not to worry about whether it's your perfect choice. Because most of the legends, when they were uncertain of what their passion was, instead of thinking about it, they started taking some action forward, and in the journey they found their life's mission. And also, we must understand it is not the destination, it is the journey, the pursuit of will to power, and seeing each setbacks and failures as opportunity to become stronger. It is indeed a difficult task to live as a modern hermit in this busy, noisy modern world, which also see interpersonal relationships as the primary source of life's meaning. So comment below what all actions you think we can take together to practice solitude in this modern world as a modern hermit.